go. Welcome on board. Welcome on board. Is Evelyn? Evan. Evie. That's a great name, Evie. How you doing? And that would be Mom next to you. All right. And we've got Jack and Jason. They're behind. And Jacqueline and Cameron. There you go. If you hold that in place, what he's going to do, Darcy, is going to pull that strap over all the headset and everything. Perfect. And very stylish, I might add. I'm Steve. Nice to meet you. What a beautiful family. I've got the Spaldings on board. All right. There, nice shot, Evie. And Jack and Jason getting situated. We've got Cameron and then Jacqueline. Welcome, Jack. I'm Steve. Aloha. And Jason, how you doing? Pleasure having everybody on board with me. We'll be all set to go here shortly. I know everyone's had a safety briefing, so that quickens the pace up. Might notice I'm the only one on board with a microphone, which does make it a one-sided conversation. Well, it's the only time in life I get to have one. When I go home, my wife does all the talking, and I just do this as fast and furious as possible. Now, they say you can tell how old a tree is by counting the rings of the tree. I say you can tell how long I've been married by the neck muscles. Look at all that definition. We're talking ripped years of working out. All right. I've been flying Hawaii over 34 years. I have over 31,000 hours of tour time. And for the military before that, I calculated I've safely flown over 250,000 passengers so far. And that takes over 30 years of flying to just do that. But I look at it in a different light. I have the largest family. I don't think I've ever heard of anyone else who's got over 250,000 family members. But we go from friendship to family in one flight, so that's how we roll. As we're flying along, one thing, the doors are off, so we don't want to stick our hands out into that airflow. It could dislocate your shoulder. And if you take pictures, kind of take them from inside, looking out. You don't want to get your camera out there. It can come right back and hit you. Welcome, Jacqueline and Cameron. How you doing? All right, I'm Steve. Yeah, let's go fly. Up and away we go. Just like that, we reach our initial cruising altitude. I guess I can open my eyes now. No using the Force, Steve. That only works in Star Wars. Jason and Jacqueline are in the windy seats, so you're catching most of the airflow back there. And we can see the main shipping harbor of Nawili Willie up ahead. The cruise ship is in. This is named for the Willy Willy tree, or false sandalwood tree, once grew abundantly here. There's a couple nice places to eat on this side. Straight ahead, the large building on the cliff is Timbers, and you'll find Hualani Restaurant inside. The food is fantastic. And the view. While dining, you look across infinity pools to the ocean. You'll see sometimes, like we see right now, the canoes coming in and out. Whales breach during the winter. And so, yeah, we're kind of towards the end of their season. Also, to the right of the Marriott is Duke's, named for Duke Ka'anamoku, the famous Hawaiian surfer and gold medal Olympic swimmer. And behind the Willy Willies, the Kipu Stream. That might look a bit familiar. If you saw Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark, remember Harrison Ford running out of the woods being chased, telling the pilot of the seaplane, "Jacques, start the engines." That was filmed here below to your right side. We have to play the right music whenever we say that. Harrison Ford loves this island. He's got a place here over on the Princeville side. He also shot the movie 6 Days and 7 Nights here. And you'll see the beach over this ridge come into view to your left front. That's where they shot 6 Days, 7 Nights, was on that beach. Down below, the Kipu Ranch is a fun place to visit. They have ATV rides, they have zip lines. The longest, fastest zip line in Hawaii is just down below. From the tower, you zip across at 60 miles an hour for up to a minute and a half, suspended face forward, arms out, flying like Superman. Doesn't that sound like fun? I actually heard the longest continuous high-pitched scream that I've ever heard coming from the zip line. It was me. A little more excitement than I was expecting. And on the shore to your left, Hoipu. The Grand Hyatt's over there, the Sheraton, Brennicke's, Hula Grill, Spouting Horn. If anyone likes sushi, might want to check out Stevenson's Library Restaurant at the Grand Hyatt. If you make early reservations, though, they fill up real quick. And one thing you miss driving that way is the Waita Reservoir. Wai is Hawaiian for water. Ta is Japanese for rice. That was actually built as a rice paddy for workers from Japan working Koloa Sugar Mill, which was built back in 1831 as the first sugar mill in Hawaii. The mill's no longer there, but the town Koloa was built around it, just on the other side of the reservoir. And as you look all around, you might notice all these green grassy fields as far as you can see. That was all sugar cane at one time. Anyone drive to Poipu over there yet? You have to go through the tunnel of trees, which we'll see just ahead. It's a tunnel of eucalyptus planted by Vladimir Knudsen in 1863. Eucalyptus come from Australia. We do have a much more popular tree from Australia. About the macadamia nut tree. Anyone like macadamia nut? 80 calories a nut before the chocolate goes on top. How about 1,000 calories a handful? Thanks a lot, Steve. There is some good news. They're good calories. Macadamia nuts contain palmitoleic acid. It increases metabolism. You burn off more calories than you take in. Eat all the mac nuts you can eat. You're doing the body good. And along the shoreline to your left, if you drive towards Port Allen, that used to be the main shipping harbor until they developed the Willy Willy. And all the green trees down there is all coffee, part of Kauai Coffee Company. You notice there's a big white ball on a tower by the shore. To the right of it, cluster of buildings, that's the Kauai Coffee Company. They have an excellent tour. They're very generous with their free samples. You will not sleep for days visiting that place. Even the cookies have coffee in it. And I don't mean coffee poured in the batter. We're talking coffee beans ground to powder mixed with the batter. So the equivalency is, I think, the ratio is 1 cookie is equivalent to 3 cups of coffee, which really catches parents off guard when they tell their children, oh, no, you're too young for those coffee samples. Here, have some cookies instead. Instantly turning children into the Flash. What was that, honey? Oh, that's our kids. What'd you give them? Just some cookies. Yeah, caffeine and sugar. What a winning combination that is. Alexander Reservoir is an agricultural reservoir. That's to irrigate all that coffee growing down by the shore. And we take a little trip. Parts of the world are going to see an eclipse today. Yeah, there's a solar eclipse today. I don't think we're going to get much of it over on in Hawaii. I think mostly down in the southern hemisphere around Australia. And we can see the valley here, Hanapepe. And the waterfall's coming into view. You're right, Jacqueline and Cameron, you're the first to see Mauna Waipuna Falls, featured in Jurassic Park. Now remember the first movie? They show the helicopter landing in front of waterfall. That's the waterfall. But in reality, it was landing in front of a green screen, in front of a hangar, put together with Hollywood special effects. Let me know if you see a T-Rex or Velociraptor. I don't mind those. It's the flying pterodactyl. Kind of looking for those. There is a helicopter landing down there. They're doing a photo shoot. Imagine exchanging or renewing wedding vows in a helicopter in front of waterfall. It just so happens I'm also licensed to perform aerial weddings and renew vows for couples in places like that. Yeah, what couples like, it's beautiful and they know they're coming back married. Only 2 choices. I do, or Geronimo. More pressure. Ever watch a show called The Bachelorette? All right. I was the one flying Jillian and Reed around Maui for the finale episode. I spent the entire day with that couple and I saw absolutely no reality whatsoever. They didn't even talk to each other unless the camera was on and rolling. How's that for reality? So I did something about it. Oh yeah, they told me to drop them off. They didn't tell me how to get there. So I went by a waterfall, turned and mentioned, by the way, I could perform an aerial wedding. And Reed froze up like a deer in the headlights. You know, somehow that didn't make the airing of that episode. They cut that all out. It was too real. I also had to edit my laughter out of the soundtrack. I couldn't stop laughing after that. We're catching a free ride. You don't have to fly harder if you fly smarter. And the smartest way to fly is like the bird. They know where all the lift is. If you follow the routes they take, you can do what we're doing. Effortlessly climb 1,000 feet a minute without adding power. This allows me to stretch out the tour and show you more of the island in the time period we have. And because I follow the routes of birds to get all that lift, I think it's the reason also my wife calls me a bird brain. You don't suppose there's some other reason involved yet? Oh no, Steve, no, you nailed it. All right. Which seat is Jack in? There we go. How you liking it so far, Jack? Perfect. That wind's not too much of a factor? Dad's blocking it okay for you. All right. Right now, yeah, it would be a pretty gusty move to put your arm out there because that's real gusty winds going by us at over 100 miles an hour. Offshore, the island Ni'i House to our left front. Just when you see those puffy clouds offshore to your left front, just down below, that haze is from the volcano, Vog. We have Kona winds to the out of the south, and it's kind of blowing that Vog in from the big island. On the shore, the river in town, Waimea. That's where Captain James Cook became the first Westerner to ever set foot on Hawaiian soil, January 16th, 1778. There was a coincidence. When Captain Cook arrived, Hawaiians were celebrating Makahiki, and they take big square pieces of tapa cloth, attach it to wooden poles, and parade around the shore to announce the coming of Lono. Well, here comes two ships, Discovery and Resolution, clockwise around the shore, big square sails on their wooden mast poles. Hawaiians thought Captain Cook was Lono. Yeah, when they found out he wasn't, they killed him on the spot. He died February 14, 1779. Valentine's Day for us was a bad day for Captain Cook. And we see all the red dirt everywhere. That's the oxidized iron in the soil. They dye t-shirts with it, red dirt shirts. It also dyes the water red. Waimea, translated, means red water. It was something that inspired Samuel Clemens, Mark Twain. He was on that ridge to your left back in 1866. And looking this way, he called this the Grand Canyon of the Pacific. Then he'd write, I now know a place where the smell of the flowers blow across the sea. And though I might sit over 1,000 miles away, I can never forget this beautiful place where waters deep and red still stir my imagination. Stirring anyone's imagination? Might see some wildlife out here. Wild goat, wild boar, deer, pheasant, quail, dove, feral sheep, and chickens running wild all over the island. Have you noticed that? That's thanks to Hurricane Iniki. It hit September 11th, 1992. The eye of the hurricane went directly across Kauai. So did chickens, 200 miles an hour. They've now become evenly distributed. They solved a mystery, too. What came first, the chicken or the egg? Yeah, now we know. 200-mile-an-hour chicken. And the point on the ridge straight ahead is called Pu'ukapeli. Hawaiians believe that if you stood here and shouted, your voice would be heard on Oahu. Not wanting to break tradition, Hawaii Telecom put the microwave link to Oahu on the same spot. They really stick with what works around here. And on the shore, the Pacific Missile Range facility, Barking Sands. My son's a fireman down there. Good job, good benefits. He also owns a CrossFit gym, stays in excellent shape. It's convenient. When I need a workout, it's only a phone call. Hey son, can you work out for me again today? Great, thanks. And that's the closest you're going to see me doing a CrossFit workout. If you drive around past the missile range, then Poli Holly Beach is as far as you go. There are no roads that go all the way around the island of Kauai. And straight ahead you can see the tracking station. Here's where they track missiles they launch. Anyone wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning to watch Elon Musk's rocket launch? Yeah, he launched this morning the largest rocket that's ever been launched. Super heavy, yeah, with 33 Raptor engines pushing the Starship on top. Well, he said there was a very small percentage of chance of it succeeding, and he was right. Yeah, they had to blow it up after the state separation didn't occur. If it did, it would have splashed down 90 minutes after the takeoff right here. Guess who was ready to go right here this morning? Yep, I went to bed real early, just anticipating getting up early and driving here to see the re-entry. I wanted to hear the sonic boom. Yeah, by 2050, he wants to put 1 million people on Mars. My wife's already signed me up for the first flight. Isn't she sweet? She told me it was the perfect place for me, while holding a book in front of my face that said, "Men are from Mars." I think she's trying to tell me something. All right, Evie, ready for your first flying lesson? I'm going to put my thumb like this with your right hand. Grab my thumb. Okay, look straight ahead. Okay, now move my thumb to the right a little bit. Nice job. You're flying this thing. Okay, move my thumb to the left a little bit. That is what it's like to fly this helicopter. Pretty easy, isn't it? When you want to climb, pull towards you. See, the nose comes right up. When you want to descend, you push forward a little bit. There we go. Now, you can see it takes only seconds for you to make direct correlation. So, like if I said, let's go turn to the right side, look at that. You're already putting in the control input for it. And that's the way we do that. What do you think? Oh, you made that look easy. Have you flown before? Wow. I'm looking out for the next generation that's going to replace me. You're well on your way. Welcome to the Nepali coast. Nepali means the cliffs. Just another day here in paradise.
Just another day here in paradise, where everybody is feeling awesome nice. Just another day, yeah. Just another.
You can see why they chose this as a backdrop for scenes in Jurassic Park and Jurassic World. When they filmed Jurassic World here, my daughter took Chris Pratt hunting on Kauai. Yeah, I found out he was discovered on Oahu working as a waiter at Bubba Gump's. There's hope for all of us. And this valley to your right is called Honopu. It means turtle head. Jacqueline and Cameron got the first view. Now swing the view around. There's an archway under the neck of the turtle head. If you saw King Kong starring Jessica Lange and Jeff Bridges. They walk through the archway under the neck of the turtlehead in the movie. So here you'll see when I turn left. There, Darcy, got a good view. Jason, you can see that also. See the turtle head? Now let's say you wanted to hike this far. Well, your car would be parked 11 miles straight ahead at the beginning of Nepali Coast. That's as far as you drive coming around this side of the island. So Polihali Beach ends the road, and also here at the beginning of Nepali. So 11 miles out, 11 miles back would be a 22-mile hike. I've never done that before. If you drive around Waimea, the road ends in the back of this valley on top. There's a lookout point. No hiking required. Good way of saving yourself a lot of sore legs from hiking. Just drive around Waimea Canyon till the road ends. If you do hike, don't go swimming though. We have the strongest rip currents in Hawaii here. People have been rescued as far as 1.5 miles offshore. I always like to take a peek as we're going down the shore this way. We're really at the very end of whale season, but there could be a straggler still around. Have you seen the whales? 5 whales, yep. They're forming up pods. That's a good sign. Fantastic. Have you been to Maui yet? Here today, gone to Maui. If you visit the Maui Ocean Center, there's a new exhibit called Whale Dome. You put 3D glasses on, and you can actually feel as though you're in the water with whales, 40-ton whales swimming right around you. It's fantastic. And here's something I didn't know. They said that if you were actually that close to whales and they began to sing, the sound waves would knock a human instantly unconscious. I didn't know they could do that.
We were on a mission, trying to find a way. It's you and me, make us get.
Now the first beach you hike to out here, Hanakapiai, not too bad. That's just about 2 miles in from your car, 2 miles back. It's actually a 1 mile distance, but the extra mile is spent going uphill, downhill, in the valley, weaving back and forth. And so you get a good leg workout there. You see all these points on the ridge? The point at the very end will look familiar if you like musicals. That's the Bali High from the South Pacific, filmed in 1956. Still today, one of the favorite musicals of all time. Now, you want to be extra careful. This is the northernmost shore of the Hawaiian archipelago. And you don't want to just go swimming any old place. Number one rule is don't go in the ocean without seeing a lifeguard looking right at you and has quick access to you. That's the number one rule. Things happen quickly out here. And second to that, don't go in the ocean if the water's cloudy. If it's cloudy, that means sharks are hunting in it. Have you seen the movie Soul Surfer? This is where Bethany lost her arm to a shark in cloudy water. Bethany's got such a big heart. She does a lot of work with Make-A-Wish Foundation, and I've worked with her before on this. They would come over, get a helicopter flight, then go on surfing with Bethany. Yeah. You can see straight ahead there's a big point sticking out with a little island in front. That's the Kilauea Lighthouse. And that's another great place to visit. It's a bird sanctuary. You'll find Laysan albatross, frigate birds with 7-foot wingspan, wedge-tailed shearwaters, white-tailed tropic birds. They have put trackers on Laysan albatross and have tracked them from Kilauea, going around planet Earth back to Kilauea in just 2.5 months. Now, they don't need to land on the ground because they actually get all the water and nutrients from the fish they catch. And they only use a couple fingers when they're flying. Couple of their feathers on the end of their wings. I like to call them fingers because that's what it looks like, just moving a little bit. It is so effortless for them to fly, they sleep while flying. I can do the same thing. Want to see? No, we're going to pass on that, Steve. Yeah, we can see the Hanalei Bay. Hana means place. Hanalei, the place shaped like a flowered lei. And growing around Hanalei, what looks like rice paddies everywhere, is taro. It's a starch, like a potato. They boil it and then pound it down into poi. Anyone sampled some of that delicious poi? Not yet? If you go to a luau, it's usually in a bowl in the front of your plate, and you're supposed to eat it with a spoon or fingers. You can always hang wallpaper with it. Takes some getting used to. That's actually out of necessity. You cannot eat raw taro. You can eat a raw potato. You cannot eat raw taro. It contains calcium oxalate crystals destroyed by boiling and pounding. If you didn't boil and pound it down, you will think you ate fiberglass. And you can see Hanalei River curve around the patch of green. That's a bison ranch. During a flood in 2016, some of the bison escaped. They have not all been captured. Which is why you're not going to see me hiking anywhere out here. Imagine bumping into a 1,500-pound bison who thinks you're there to try to take it back. Yeah. I'm definitely going to pass on that one. And Mount Namolokama means weaved together and tightly pulled. When it rains heavily, it looks like a bunch of threads coming down, all weaved into a single stream, pulled together. Always something identifiable behind the names given to the land by the Hawaiians. And you can actually find an unusual fish in waterfalls around the island. It's called an opu. Opu means belly. It's got a suction cup on its belly, allowing it to cling to rock and work its way up the face of falls. It's considered a delicacy. And if you go to the fish market, they sell an opu up to $35 a pound, making it the most expensive catfish you will ever try. That's what it tastes like. They say the best way to prepare it is you cook it on a wooden plank, then you throw out the fish and eat the plank. Down below is the Hanalei River, and we can see all the green trees down there by the stream. That's the state tree, kukui nut. Kukui means light or candle. And Hawaiians would actually burn the nut like a candle. And the oil in the shell was a beauty product to keep hair shiny, skin smooth. It's fragrant, that would be perfume. It's also edible. I wouldn't recommend eating any. Well, if you decide to eat kukui nut, you'll then make a discovery that you just ate the world's strongest laxative. 1 nut, you're walking fast. 2 nuts, you break into a trot. By 3, you're setting a new land speed record to a guava tree. It turns out guava is the only known antidote for kukui nut in the wild. Yeah, you find one, you find the other. They're always found growing within 100 yards of each other. I think the 100-yard dash was invented right here. Our state flower is the hibiscus, the state bird, the nene goose. And if you want to pronounce our state fish, got to take a deep breath first. That's the humuhumunukunuku apua'a. Small fish, big name. Faster you say it, the more impressive it's going to get. Now, a long time ago, once a year, the Hawaiians climbed this ridge and followed it to the top of Mount Waialeale. The first who ever made it found a pond up there and saw the winds ripple the waters. Waialeale means the rippling waters. That's how it got its name. It is a treacherous climb, however. Take a look straight ahead. You'll see it's a razorback ridge where right here it dips down, goes back up. Let me get you a closer view. If you happen to slip right here and fall left, that's a 700-foot drop, and fall right, it's a 1,000-foot drop. Let's see if we got any takers. Anyone interested? Yeah, I'm going to pass on that hike too. Welcome to the crater of Mount Waialeale. 4,000-foot cliffs, 5,148 feet above sea level, the highest point. And water coming through the mountain, through the porous lava. You can see that that loud popping sound is actually the tip of the blades going supersonic. If you get them just at the right pitch angle, the air accelerates over the top of the airfoil and becomes supersonic for a second. You can hear that pop, 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 pop. You can see that this landslide occurred just recently. They occur constantly around the islands. You get a heavy rain shower, and that's the result. And that's the highest part of Mount Waialeale uphill to your right. Kawakini Point, 5,148 feet above sea level. I'll make a little turn. I always like to show that when I can because only a handful of people ever see it. It spends most of the year in the clouds. So we have, with the way the weather's changed, we got a very good opportunity to see it. All right. And there, if you look to your left, you can see all the way up there. Now, this is the only time today I'll be able to do this because you can already see the clouds building after this flight. It's going to be all cloudied up over there. This will be for bragging rights later. And we drop down a little bit. And we start to see the sleeping giant. Now, if you look straight ahead, you'll see a ridge near the shore with a point sticking up in the middle. That begins the outline. The point is forehead, which goes left to his chin, left to his chest, down to the hips and the legs straight out. And the legend is he ate too much poi, laid down to sleep it off, been there ever since. Today we call that Hawaiian paralysis. And if you go to a luau, you can experience it. Because the object at a Hawaiian luau is not to eat your full, it's to eat till you pass out. And you can see we're descending, coming down from the top of Waiale Ali. You see all the green grassy fields? This used to be sugar cane. Today, mostly grazing area for cattle. And cows have a strange name here. They're called pipis. Cowboys are called paniolos. The first cowboys were Spanish-speaking vaqueros from Mexico, and Hawaiians couldn't pronounce the word Espanol. When they tried, it came out paniolo. The name stuck. I only point this out because there's a very good chance visiting you might bump into a paniolo and might ask him what he does here all day. Aren't you glad you won't be shocked when he tells you he chases his peepees around? There's a good moment to know he's talking about cows. Or if you go to a restaurant, you might have a waiter or waitress approach and ask if you care for some poo-poos or germs. What if they're made of beef? How appetizing does pee-pee poo-poo sound? People hear that, they're up and running. So you got to learn just enough Hawaiian to get through a meal. Anyone see the movie Jungle Cruise? Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's new movie? It was filmed in this pond. The whole movie. And years ago on TV, there was a show that was called Fantasy Island, starring Ricardo Montalban, Hervé Valenciennes. In the opening scene, they would always show this beautiful waterfall. Then they'd show an airplane fly by, and Tattoo would look up and go, "The plane, the plane." The waterfalls is the one appearing to your left, the Wailua Falls. And it was shot from around this angle in altitude. Between the ridges straight ahead here, you can see the Wailua River. It's the only navigable river in Hawaii. There's a place called Smith's that you can go visit. They have boats that'll take you to the Fern Grotto. There you go, Jacqueline. Cameron, now you can see the Wailua Falls. And the Jungle Cruise Pond. The Rock was so cool. During breaks from shooting, he would come down to the road, and while people would drive to the Wailua Falls, he'd be on the side of the road just waving at folks. Sometimes they'd stop, and he'd sign autographs. I mean, real nice guy. Hawaiians have an expression. They say, Wahala nakapuna ahe iki kore oreu, vala nuko ke iala, inameya ike awe, hopilalo iu kikilo. Translated, the ancestors of Hawaii have long since passed on. Today's people see only a glimpse of that time long ago and far behind. And I really enjoyed being the one to share a glimpse of that with you. I like to think everyone goes from friendship to family in one flight. Look how fast my family grows. But please recommend Air Kauai to family and friends. Word of mouth advertising is their best advertising. And we're also found on Maui as Air Maui if you get over there. We need a good landing song. I thought Louis Armstrong should sing us home. Good old Satchmo always says it best.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me, and I think to myself.
And we see the Kauai Beach Resort. We can see Hanamalu Bay. You really don't want to go swim in Hanamalu. The water is polluted by the drainage from the community upslope. And we do want to stay buckled up all the way till we land. Our folks will come out and assist offloading. And you always want to exit to the front of the helicopter. You never want to go behind it. The tail rotor spins so fast it's invisible. Everyone have a good time? Am I spoiled? Oh yeah, there's no doubt about that. You know what the most difficult thing is I have to do each day? Convince my wife I had a rough day at the office. She's not buying it. Wouldn't it be amazing if we could time it to land right when Louis Armstrong finishes?
I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Timing is everything, isn't it? Did we land yet? It's so hard to tell. Have a wonderful time while you're here. We got Cassie and Shandon coming out to give us a hand. And it just takes a little lift on the buckle clasp to release the seat belt. If you pull the strap off of your headsets from the goggles, it'll make the headsets easier to come off. And then I can grab the ones up front for you, Evia, and also Darcy. We'll get those out of your way. Now, there we go. You just want to hang on to that for me. There we go. And that's perfect. I'll just grab those. Have a wonderful time on the island.